All right, another quick one. Hopefully, should be. I'm already kind of halfway through this, so hopefully what I'm doing doesn't jump too far ahead. But I'm installing a backup camera here. I'm at the back of the rig. This one does not have the Furrion connector, so the Furrion's like the little bat wing or shark fin or whatever it is. Like I think shark fin's what they call it, which is really handy actually. The backup camera that I have is this guy. It's the Haloview something. It has this 6-pin connector. It's almost like a DJ type thing or piano thing. Tools all over. It plugs into this guy, which is connected to the transmitter. So here's your transmitter. The reason it has that junction there is, I guess, twofold. One is so you can slip on and off some weather covers for these little contacts, which I guess wouldn't necessarily be necessary if the contacts weren't there. But anyway, the real reason is that this antenna, you have a choice where to put it. You can either put it right at the back like this, like where I am right now, or it came with this big spool of extension. And I didn't use it in the last rig, and the connection was fine. I was getting like effectively like 1 bar of signal, which isn't great. There was a little bit of lag in the signal coming across to the truck. So this time I'm going to install it with using this, and so that's why these connectors are here. They're just kind of in between. So what I've done so far, so with the Furrion connector, it is a lot more convenient because this kit comes with this guy, which is the plug, like the Haloview end is this barrel jack that just plugs in here and then twists on, and then there's I want to say there's a dust cover for this too, but now I'm blanking. Yeah, the dust cover is probably on the other side. And then this, whatever, 2.5 millimeter like headphone connector plugs into the Furrion prep. So that's super easy. Then you have power and you're done, basically. And then this, you're done, except that this mounting plate matches the Furrion mounting plate. So you just literally unscrew the cover, like they prep it and put a little shark fin mount there. It has this hole pattern. I want to say it's like these 2 fins, or this internal 4 rectangle is the hole pattern for the Haloview, and these outside ones are the hole pattern for the shark fin, the Furrion thing. So super easy. This came in the box. It was actually pre-installed, I believe, although it was about 1.5 years ago, so don't quote me on that. But anyway, at the time, whatever. It's really easy. You screw in unscrew 4 screws from the camper, screw the same screws back into that, and then you plug in this stuff, you plug it in, and you're done for the camper side. This time it's a little bit different. I need to wire it with this pigtail that comes with it. Again, it has the bullet connector. So it comes with everything you need either way, but instead of using this super convenient Furrion one, I have to use the pigtail. So again, it's gonna plug in here and get the 12 volts, or this is actually, it takes in 10 to 32 volts. So there is quite a range. You can't put 110 into it, obviously, but any reasonable DC source will be good for this. And then again, it's gonna connect into this to give this power and get the signal out. So all I need to do here is, there was this cap. This cap was on the rig already. I didn't realize that was white silicone. I thought it was going to be clear, so it's going to look a little funny. But that cap was up here just covering up this hole. I didn't do this. The camper was like prepped with the 12 volts here. And I just checked, and this is dead right now. I do have a switch in my control center though, where I can turn on just this camera by itself, so that's kind of nice. So even if we aren't towing and don't have the lights on, for example, which is what this usually is powered from, is the running lamps from the truck. This should be able to be turned on from within the rig, which is kind of cool. So we could theoretically use it as like a security camera if we wanted to. So anyway, I have effectively a pigtail up there, a source pair of wires. One of the caps fell off when I opened it up. And then I have a pigtail here that I'm going to connect it to. I'm going to solder it because I can't find any. I like soldering anyway. I prefer the secure metal connection rather than like snapping something together or crimping it or whatever. I just have better results or better experience with soldering. So I'm going to solder and heat shrink those guys, which should be quick and easy. And then I did take, this is the cap that was up there. I just screwed a 1/4 inch hole in it because this cable is a little bit less than a 1/4 inch thick. And so I was able to slide through there. I put enough cable, I don't want to move it because this silicone's still wet, but I put enough cable, you can kind of see there behind it, so this can kind of tuck away inside. I'm gonna probably zip tie this wire to that wire, just so there's some strain relief, so if somehow this gets yanked from the outside, it doesn't just pull on the solder joint. And then I obviously siliconed this on both the outside and the inside, so there should be a good watertight seal there. I will also silicone it once I actually put the cap on the rig side, so that should be all nice and weatherproof by then, and then it's all just kind of plug and play again. So I'll plug this into here. I want to say this is like 25, oh, it's 12 meters. It's 12 meters, so that's like 36 feet. It's more than 36 feet. So that'll be like almost all the way to the front of the rig. So it'll only be like a 20-foot jump, which is nice. And this is incidentally specs, I guess. I can't read anything. This has been out in the sun. But it's a 2.4 gigahertz, I want to say RPSMA antenna. What does this say? Does it say it on it? No. It's either SMA or RPSMA, but either way, these antennas are like, it's a standard antenna setup. Looks like that is, I don't remember which is which now. I think that's RPSMA. But anyway, so if you did want to replace this with like a directional antenna instead of being this little rubber duck, these radiate out in like a donut around the tip. So like think of like a circle going this way, but in the shape of a donut around this length. So kind of radiating out this way. And obviously you don't really care to have it radiating backwards from the RV, because you're not going to be back there when you need it. So having a directional antenna point the signal toward the front, toward the truck, will give you better penetration and better signal. So I talked about that about a year and a half ago with the manufacturer, just to confirm. I think it was just to confirm like what frequency, because antennas are tuned to a certain frequency. These are 2.4 gigahertz. So I'll do some testing on that. I plan on doing some testing on that way back and then never did it. But also I think that just using this and getting it like so much closer will help a lot anyway. So something else I just did is I pulled out the multimeter, turned it on to voltage DC, and then turned on the camera switch at my control panel, just to confirm that this does turn on when the camera switch is turned on and I don't misunderstand what that means. And also just to make sure that I know what positive and negative is. So this red stripe here is positive, this nothing, all white, is negative. So I know which orientation to solder those up. So red goes to red, or pink goes to red, and black goes to white. It's straightforward. And also now I know that the camera switch in my control panel turns on the camera, which is good. What I don't know yet still, because I'm not going to test it right now and haven't tested yet, is whether the running lights in the truck will be enough to turn this on also. I suspect they are, but time will tell on that. So find out about that in a bit. All right. Rule number 1 of soldering: don't forget to put on your heat shrink before you solder. Rule number 2 of soldering is double check that you put on your heat shrink before you solder, because once you have these wires connected to the other wires, you can't slip anything over them because they're connected, and then you have to undo it, and then you have to redo it, and that's not any fun for anybody. So those are the first 2 rules. If you get into soldering, you'll know what I mean, because it'll happen. Didn't happen to me this time. I thought of it, but there have been many times that I haven't. All right, so I'm going to slip a little piece of heat shrink over that guy. I'll do likewise to the male one, or the positive one, and then we'll be good to go. So I just got that heat shrink pulled back. They do this, by the way, if you haven't done this before, heat shrink just, when you heat it up, it shrinks, hence the name. And so you just put it on here, solder up here. So I'll strip a little wire and then tin it, and then solder it to the other one. And then I can pull the heat shrink over, because the heat won't go up this far. Pull it over and then put a flame on it, like a little lighter. And that'll shrink it up and not necessarily keep the water out, but at least keep it insulated from each other. It's possible it can mostly keep the water out, but in this case, that side of the wire are so much thicker than this side that it's not gonna, the size of heat shrink that I have to start with won't be small enough to shrink over this, so it's not gonna be watertight. But this is me inside anyway, because we're gonna silicone it and everything. So that's not really a concern in this case. Cool, let's do it. Rule 3 of soldering, which I almost missed because I was distracted by rules 1 and 2, is don't have power to your circuit when you're soldering it. That saves problems a lot of the time. So anyway, this is the camera switch I was talking about. When it's on, it gives 12.8 volts, it looks like, to the back to that camera connection. When it's off, there's basically nothing. Yeah, otherwise there's a whole bunch of other things here. So here we can see the after effects of soldering and heat shrinking those two wires. This is what it looks like after I attach the zip tie, just kind of holding it there so you can see. And then once I reattach the plug to cover the hole in the little bundle of wire. All right, so this is now connected. I screwed that in up there. It came with some little like plastic washers. I put those on the, not as a washer between the screw and the bracket, but between the bracket and the fiberglass, because I figured that's where I actually want the buffering to be, just so it doesn't scratch and mess up the face any more than those holes do. But since we have an awning out here, and my old rig didn't, my old rig, this would just go up like onto the roof like that. And then I actually had this just double-sided tape with the double-sided tape that it came with, and it was good there on the roof for like a year and a half, totally fine. But now I'm kind of forced. You can see the length of the cables. That bundle there is just extra power cable. I kind of wish I would have shoved that in through that opening, and you'll also notice that my terrible caulk job is also from all the movement kind of coming apart, so I'm gonna have to probably just pull this off on this side and put some clear silicone over it. It looks better, but I'll do that once everything's kind of tightened down and not moving around anymore, because you can see it opening. But anyway, this is extra power cord. The signal from the camera goes through this cable here, this one with the cover on it, and that's kind of determining the max length now. So I'm going to mount those to the fiberglass here, all the way across, and then go up onto the roof, and then over, and get as far forward as I can. So all that to say, like, I don't really have a choice this time because of the awning. You can see that doesn't go any further than that. Because of the awning, I don't have a choice but to use the extension, that, whatever I said, 12-meter extension cord, which I wanted to use it anyway, so that's totally fine. But I'm gonna go do that now, which means I'll just take off the, it'll basically go between these two connectors here. I just plugged it in right now just to go to the truck and make sure power was getting to this guy and I'm able to see a signal, and I am. So that's good news. But now I'm gonna actually mount it to the fiberglass into the roof, and these are the little, I don't know what you call them, tie downs, I guess, that it comes with. They're kind of like reusable ratchet straps, sort of. It'll just kind of like hook onto this little hooky dude, and you could probably just pull it back out. So I'm gonna use one or two here, like so. Just stick it to the fiberglass and then hook it on. Effectively, the hard part's over. None of it was really the hard part, but the hardest parts are over, and I'm almost done. All right, so here we go. This is looking good-ish. I wish I would have planned it a little bit better ahead of time, but I didn't. So there it is across the bottom, and then this is actually the other end that's going to be attached at the top, but swoop around there, and then I'm going to go on the roof and do the rest and put it forward. So yeah, I wish I would have, I wanted to put it like close to this, there wasn't any stress on this, and then again afterward. But anyway, wish I would have put this one a little higher just to hide it above the awning. But oh well, here we are. All right, so here we are. I'm gonna say effectively done. There's one thing left to do, which is I just need to find the double-sided tape. We have some nano tape that I want to use to mount this up here. I just don't know where it is right now, and sorry, I'm standing right next to the AC, so it's gonna be noisy. I'm not sure where the nano tape is right now, so I'll come back up and do that in a minute, but the rest of the cable run is done. I'm up here at the front cap. Ignore the dish, that's a different setup. But yeah, we're here at the front cap, so we're gonna be like, I don't even know, tens of feet, like under 25 feet from the front of the truck. So this should get amazing reception compared to what we had before. I just use these little sticky bits that have the 3M phone tape on the back of them. There's a socket here where this is connecting to the extension cable, and then These I just put these occasionally here, and I put them under the solar panels because these are mounted in with these brackets. So these kind of act as another form of just kind of cable management here. What I didn't want to do though is let them rub on here and potentially cut this sheathing. So I did, put these as kind of guards to keep these runs of wire kind of in between the brackets, but I did want to use the solar panels as a little bit of like weather shielding or whatever you want to call it. So here's another one. Again, I didn't want to have it too close to the AC, so I just put it here just to kind of come like a straight run under that solar panel, and then another straight run between this and the next solar panel, and so on. Just kind of come over here. Oh, I'm going to put one more in place over here. How would I say that? Then this goes off the back here, and I just kind of snuck it in behind the awning. I think this is the motor for the awning, or at least the cap for it, or whatever. So I snuck it in here behind there, and then it goes kind of where you saw before and over the camera. So that's about it. I'm going to put one more, or maybe two more of those holder deals, like one right about here, another one maybe over by that solar panel, and then we're good to go. I already tested the camera. I haven't tested, I guess, with the extension cord in, extension cable, whatever you call it. But presuming that works, like it's done, we're installed. I have to tape that guy down, and I have to add one or two more guys over here, but then we're done. So thanks for watching. Hopefully it's helpful. Yeah, not sure how much of this is like super helpful, but if this is something you're not like super confident to do, just know that it's, I have a hard time saying it's kind of hard to mess up, because if you do mess it up, then you're going to feel bad. But it's pretty straightforward if you take your time, take a look at what you're doing, and yeah, go from there. But hopefully this is helpful and shows you how to hook up this type of camera. This is, again, is a Haloview backup camera system. Oh, I guess one more thing, because I always have one more thing to say. So I said that these antennas radiate in kind of a donut pattern, or a torus pattern. So there's a null right here, like a dead zone coming straight out of the tip and going out of the bottom. And therefore, you want to have these oriented usually in parallel with each other. So if this one's up, you would probably also want to have the one on the truck up. But either way, you definitely don't want to, like, whether you do that or not, if you had it like this and had the truck one also horizontal, like that's probably the ideal. But even if you had it vertically like this, you definitely don't want to have this pointing at, like the tip of it pointing at your receiver. And on the other end, you don't want your receiver antenna pointing at your transmitter, even if this one was in any one of these, not perpendicular orientations. You definitely don't want to point one antenna at another with the tip or with the base, because that's like literally the weakest point of the antenna. There's theoretically zero signal coming out of here. Now practically you'll probably get like a little bit, because no antenna is perfect, but you definitely want to have them like parallel is ideal. Because these are, let me think about it, because these are a torus, it's probably not a big deal if it's vertical or horizontal relative to each other. You just don't want to have the nulls pointing at each other. I might correct that in the description right now, or in the what's it called, on-screen card. But yeah, definitely I'm confident you don't want to point the nulls at each other, which are pointing up and pointing down right now. I'm thinking right now that it doesn't matter too much if it's vertical or horizontal relative to each other, because the shape, I'll have to draw a little picture for myself and think that over, but that should be fine. Anyway, all that said, hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, leave a comment, and I will see you there. Thank you. Bye. So there isn't really a good way to show this, because because if I go like this, it becomes a mirror, so it reflects really badly in the camera. But here you can see we have like 4 to 5 bars on the reception now. It's recording, and it's recording the front like a dash cam. So we're recording, it records 2 video files at a time. So yeah, it works out really well. I did have to put a flexible antenna up here in this case, because this truck has a little bit less clearance at the top here. So I got a different 2.4 gigahertz antenna to put in there. But besides that, It's all working great out of the box and good to go.